All right, here we go. We are getting into the Toronto Maple Leafs Auston Matthews discourse because of some of the comments made by Darren Dreger over the past few days. You see, Maple Leafs forward superstar Auston Matthews is a pretty good hockey player. One of the best? Probably. I mean, he's paid like one of the best, that's for sure. But Auston Matthews is in a spot where, after going through a few years of very dominant Toronto Maple Leafs play, things have really taken a step back, both in terms of his overall level of production, as well as the Maple Leafs on-ice results. Matthews is done for the year. He finished off this season with 53 points in 60 games played. It is the lowest producing season of Matthews' NHL career, both in terms of goals and overall points. This is a far cry from the two 100-point seasons that he had posted up in 2022 and in 2024. But nevertheless, Auston Matthews is one of the highest paid NHL players at $13.25 million a season, and the Toronto Maple Leafs have gotten worse this year. Mitch Marner left the team. They're now at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. And they're in a spot where if they continue losing out with Matthews out of the lineup, they could realistically keep their first-round pick this year and maybe even get themselves a lottery opportunity. That's how crazy it's gotten for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Add to this the season-ending injury for Matthews, wherein none of his teammates stood up for the guy, which prompted a pretty open conversation as to whether or not he would be interested in sticking with this group of players long-term. And then you have the added element of the Olympic Games taking place this season. Auston Matthews was the captain of Team USA that ended up winning the gold. And you have all these players from around the NHL that were saying all these great things about Auston Matthews, Quinn Hughes and Jack Hughes defending him in the media, Brady Tkachuk, a fellow captain of another Canadian team, talking about how Auston Matthews is so great, yada yada yada. This has boiled into a bigger conversation as to whether or not Auston Matthews' future really does lie in Toronto. Bolstered up by the injury, bolstered up by the Leafs' performance, let's go out there and take a look at some comments made by Darren Dreger over the past few days that indicate what could happen. He said this on the Barn Burner podcast on March 20th, Friday. The only way Auston Matthews isn't back with the Maple Leafs is if Matthews says, "I don't believe in the direction we are going here." Now, that's not really all too surprising, right? You look at Darren Dreger, he's like, oh, if Auston Matthews doesn't think the team is going down the right path, he's gonna leave. Yeah, duh. The same thing happened with Quinn Hughes in Minnesota. Exactly the same thing. It's not even really that he didn't believe in the direction, it just seemed like he just didn't want to be in Vancouver. Anyways, that's another conversation for another day. But also, on March 20th, you had some comments made on the First Up show from Darren Dreger as well. He doesn't believe that the Maple Leafs are deeply worried about the Auston Matthews situation, and the idea that he's going to alert the team through his agent that the Maple Leafs are on the clock. But the Leafs have to allow for that possibility. That's what happened with Quinn Hughes in Minnesota. Now, I do think as well the Quinn Hughes situation does have some nuance that might not necessarily be replicated in the Toronto Auston Matthews scoop. I do think that just from a pretty objective point of view, Auston Matthews has more reason to leave the Maple Leafs than Quinn Hughes had to leave the Vancouver Canucks. Both of the teams in their situations are underperforming. Both of the teams traded away players that, by all accounts, the American captains of these franchises liked. Mitch Marner, gone. JT Miller in Vancouver, gone. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that Quinn Hughes left because JT Miller got traded. In fact, I think it was reported that Quinn was on the Pettersson side of the entire feud. He wanted Petey to stay, and that decision was ultimately made. But Auston Matthews has more of a reason, I would say, to turn his back on the Maple Leafs because of the injury situation and because nobody stood up for him. We're still talking about how nobody stood up for Auston Matthews weeks after the injury actually occurred. For Quinn Hughes, it was the opposite. It was kind of sad. It was unfortunate for Vancouver because the Canucks, not only did they absolutely want Quinn Hughes to stay, which of course the Maple Leafs would want Matthews to stay too, but Vancouver made all these decisions going against the grain in an effort to convince Quinn Hughes to stay. Oh, you want to get the captaincy? Okay, here you go. Oh, you want Adam Foote as the head coach? Okay, yeah, we're going to do that. Oh, you want Rick Tocchet to stick around? Well, we can't really control that, but we'll really try to make it happen. Oh, you want this team to be competitive? Okay, well, let's take the first-round pick we got from the JT Miller trade and trade it for Marcus Pettersson and then re-sign him. Oh, you want this team to be competitive? Well, let's sign Thatcher Demko. Let's sign Kevin Lankinen. Let's sign all these guys that can keep us in a win-now state, because that's what you want. And the Canucks gave him everything he wanted, and he still left. Yes, the team severely underperformed this season, but damage control commentary by Jim Rutherford suggests that Quinn Hughes already had 1 foot half out the door by the end of the 2024 playoff run, when the team was winning, and the team did make a second-round appearance, and they did find themselves within 1 Game 7 of defeating the inevitable Stanley Cup runner-ups that year. Like, it's a tough go for Vancouver fans. And I'm not necessarily saying that Auston Matthews has that same level of leverage, but I do think that there is more reason for Matthews to be like, okay, what the hell, guys? Like, you traded away Marner, now nobody's standing up for me, and this team is looking worse, and now they're selling, and now they might be rebuilding, and William Nylander doesn't skate like he cares at all. I mean, am I supposed to be the captain of this team? And now there are conversations about the Minnesota Wild potentially taking another big swing to grab Auston Matthews after taking Quinn Hughes. Oh, the Wild really want to put together a competitive team, don't they? They've been making the playoffs all these years. They've been getting eliminated in the first round all these years. Quinn Hughes is a good enough player to change their fate, but Auston Matthews... Yeah, talk about your first-line center issues. Joel Eriksson Ek, sorry, move on by. You got Matthews playing with Boldy and Faber and Hughes on the power play now. Talk about an all-American to the power of 4 team, eh? In fact, Jonas Segal on The Athletic went out there and wrote an article earlier yesterday about how Auston Matthews' exit would devastate the Maple Leafs. The fact that we have athletic articles, things that you actually have to pay to be able to read, going out there and talking about the idea of an Auston Matthews trade, it makes it a lot more cemented in our subconscious that this could happen. It's not like this is a totally out of nowhere, just bollocks conversation. No, even the article that Jonas Segal wrote about, it's like the possibility that Matthews asks out looms over every decision the Maple Leafs have at their disposal over the next 3 or 4 months or so. From Mitch Marner to Auston Matthews, this team could be a total shell of its former self by the time next season rolls around, really. So at the end of the day, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Darren Dreger commentary on Auston Matthews? Every few days, some new talking points are being brought up by different insiders and different analysts on various social media platforms and regular broadcast media platforms. And I do think where there's smoke, there is fire. So we will see whether or not Auston Matthews finds himself in a blue and white Maple Leafs jersey by the time 2026-2027 rolls around. Thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know, do you think the guy's going to get traded? Where to? And what do you think the trade price is? Does he out-leverage the Maple Leafs in the same way that Marner did, by only really being able to accept the trade to one particular team? Or does Auston Matthews find himself in a situation where he is good to go anywhere? Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sign on. And bye.